People who come to Shreveport, actually one of the biggest things they say is how much they love downtown Boise. And a lot of it is just like the general friendliness, but they also just really appreciate the diversity of food and beer and coffee. The walkability of Boise has been really strong for this festival model. The density we have in downtown Boise of venues and shops and stuff works well. We hear regularly that during Shreveport, hotels are filled and restaurants and bars are having record weekends during that time. Cultural activities in general lead to a vibrant downtown scene.
During events in downtown Boise, we see a lot of extra foot traffic for First Thursday or the Saturday market.
Anytime there's something special going on downtown, it definitely is a positive impact for us.
It's so important that when we land an airplane here with clients in it, that we tour them through our downtown. It is one of the key things that sells the Boise Metro. So whether they're going out to Nampa or Caldwell or Meridian or another one of our great cities, it's really, really critical that we have a great anchor downtown. And of course, the city of Boise downtown is absolutely fantastic.
Well, this is a very exciting time to be selling Boise. With the expansion of the Boise Center and all the new hotel product that we have, it's really given my sales team at the Boise Convention and Visitors Bureau and all of our partners a great opportunity to sell to bigger and larger meetings and conventions.
Expanding Boise Center allows us to accommodate much larger regional and national conventions and conferences. It also gives us the opportunity to hold multiple events simultaneously that we hadn't been able to do before. This gives us more dates to accommodate local events as well. We've actually studied it, and we know that visitors from outside the area and visitors from within driving distance all come to this area in downtown, spend monies, and contribute to the economic vitality of our city.
We are hearing more and more that, with all the top 10 lists and everything that has been great editorially on Boise, that they want to come downtown. They want to experience everything they're reading about. We are filling these hotels. We have been able to bring more and larger groups because of the new hotels. Once people have come here to a meeting, we get very, very high ratings as far as what they discovered in the culinary scene, in the recreational, how close everything is, how safe, how close our airport is. I mean, we really do, I think, overwhelm them and then definitely surprise and delight them.
Honestly, I can't imagine us being anywhere but downtown. I mean, it's the perfect spot for our clientele. It's a perfect spot for the foot traffic and for being close to the convention center and so many wonderful hotels.
For our business, I'm really thankful that we're in downtown Boise. There's kind of a vibe and a feeling of downtown Boise that kind of reflects our business, and I think we get a value out of that we wouldn't see anywhere else.
The future of Shreveport seems bright. Yeah, it's one thing being in a downtown core, though, it's always changing, and I think we don't take that for granted, and we know it takes a lot of active community participation and collaborative spirit on our part. But it seems like as the word gets out, not only with Shreveport, but in Boise in general, more and more people are coming here to check it out and see what all the buzz is about.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Obie. I'm the managing partner of the Inn at 500 Capital. And if you haven't been there, you should. 500 people. We can get you about 5 nights in a row and take care of things. Lynn, how are we doing time-wise? Are you nervous yet? Yes. You're all right. Well, she said I had 10 minutes and I had to tell about myself, start with, and as old as I am, that could take 10 minutes, and so I won't spend too much time on that. She also asked me to share with you why we are in Boise and why did we choose to build a very special boutique hotel in downtown Boise? And I think that question is worthwhile for this particular group, and certainly is worthwhile for us in the decision we've made. Before talking too much about that, I want to introduce you to a few of our partners. One of them is, of course, your famous mayor, Mayor Veeder here in front. He was the first person that we spoke to about coming to Boise, and I can tell you that without his support, without his encouragement, without his enthusiasm about downtown Boise, I don't think we would have been here. And we are very lucky to have him as part of the team in downtown Boise, without question. Thank you. We have other partners that we're equally lucky to have, and of course we feel like they're lucky to have us as well. John Brunell, he's our partner for parking. We've got Bill Connor, he's our partner for getting people to town. We have the legendary Gary Hawkins. I heard earlier today he was legendary. Gary's a partner because he owns the land that our hotel sits on, and has been a great partner and mentor for me as well, and certainly supportive of our organization. I'd also like to introduce you to Kurt Osmundson, General Manager at the Inn at 500 Capitol. Kurt is just doing a spectacular job over there. I'm often asked, how's it going? I've got to tell you, it's going very well. We're well ahead of where we thought we would be, and are very excited about the future that's in front of us, and excited as to the response that we're getting from this community and communities far away. Lynn, again, asked me to reiterate our story. We're in the high-end boutique hotel, luxury boutique hotel business. We're interested in building only very special hotels. We do business with people that are concerned, that care about where they're at, that are perhaps at the high level of our travelers throughout the United States and throughout the world. We have many people that come from afar that do business with us. And so we take a lot of time preparing for them, developing that, and putting forth an experience that they will enjoy, and that they will find adventuresome, that they'll find authentic, that they'll find engaging, and they'll find all about the community and become involved in the community. We came here from Eugene, where we have another luxury boutique hotel that did extremely well. And when we decided that to venture out based on that success and leverage, if you will, that success, we had to determine what was it that made that work, and where might we find that. I'll tell you a little bit about that, why we ultimately got here. We identified the reasons, or a community we wanted to go to, we wanted to go to a community that there was no other luxury hotel, at least at the standard boutique hotel that we live and that we operate in. We also wanted to find a community that had significant university presence. It was very important to our what we do. We wanted to find a community that had a major airport, that has inbound traffic coming from major cities. It's very important to us. Our customers, perhaps as many as 50% of them, arrive by air. They are coming from major cities, and they have an appreciation for what it is we do. We wanted to find a community that had an active urban area, much as downtown Boise does. And certainly we wanted to find a community that had a lot of vitality in terms of the basis for the community itself. Economic vitality, a lot of people that with pride in the community, a lot of people that are excited about the community, because that is where we come from. When we identified those, I called the dean at the College of Business, University of Oregon, and asked if we could get a class, perhaps for a term. We had a little research project we wanted them to do. And so he did assign a class that had background in marketing. We met with them for 13 weeks in a row, a term, and I asked them to research the western United States, all the cities in the western United States, where we could find those particular 5 attributes. They researched 43 communities and at the same time analyzed them and scored them. Boise came out on top. Boise came out on top. 43 communities in the western United States. And for the reasons that I gave you, plus other reasons as well. In fact, Boise came out stronger than Eugene did when we found those things of priority. So and I can also tell you, it is to the credit to that class, it's a credit to our educational system, and whether it be the Ducks or the Broncos or the Vandals, it was a tremendous asset, and it is credit to them that we are here in Boise today for sure. The other reasons that we want to be here, again, is the lifestyle. Our people are people that are involved in the community. Our partners and associates that we work with every day, we want to have an environment, an estuary, that is vital. We do want an environment where people are determined to get things done. We hire a lot of millennials, and matter of fact, and they work long hours and a lot of days. So I guess we're hiring the right ones. We appreciate it very much. We also hire baby boomers, and we've found where they want to be. Most of them want to be in our rooms, unfortunately, and are there indeed. Lynn asked me to talk about what's in it for us relative to downtown Boise. What do we do for downtown Boise? What does downtown Boise do for us? I think what we do is we try to put this community's best foot forward. That is our business. When I look at the names on these tables, many of them are putting people into our hotel, and I would say almost most of them are. We are a recruiting arm for most of the major businesses in Boise and organizations, and I see those names on the table. Now, when they search the country and try to bring doctors here or professionals or marketing people or what have you, spend a lot of time and energy doing that. Our job is to pick them up at the airport in a Mercedes sedan, black Mercedes sedan, let them know they're important, talk about the community between the airport and our hotel, get them settled, and have them feel like they're home. And then when they're ready to go to wherever their interviews are, what they're looking at, we take them there, make sure that they're safe and that they found their way there. And then when they're done, they come back, and all the time we're talking about the community and talking it up. Then we take them to the airport, drop them off, thank them for being there. That is our job. Our job is to put this community's best foot forward. I think that is, in many respects, what we provide. We also provide a place in downtown Boise that people want to be. We had a wedding over the weekend, a really great wedding. It had about 60 rooms, 120 people, and it was about a 3-day event, as some of these weddings are. And not only did they come and enjoy and participate, but they scattered throughout downtown when they did. And they were from all over this country. That's another part of our job. I walked over with a person that's in charge of our valets and front desk and asked, what kind of question did you get? She said, the most common question is, what is there to do? Well, we've got the answers, and it's our job to have the answers. I think that is what we do for downtown Boise. And in terms of what downtown Boise does for us, I've got to tell you, it is just spectacular. I mean, the previous speaker talking about people living downtown. When there are people living downtown, their relatives are coming, that people are participating in the community, they're staying in our hotel, they're eating at Richard's restaurant. I mean, it just makes things work. So that is something that we're thankful for in terms of what downtown Boise does for us. It is a tremendous draw. There are a lot of professional people coming here. A lot of people coming here thinking about living here, and it does that for us. I have received notes because of the type of hotel we build, because of the architecture of the hotel, because of the service that we provide. I've received a lot of notes and on the street thank yous for building the hotel we did. And frankly, that's a humbling experience because it is us that should be thanking downtown Boise for being what it is. Thank you this afternoon.
Good afternoon. What a pleasure to be with you today. I'm from Portland, Oregon. Flew in last night. I'm Jeff Curtis, the CEO of the Portland Rose Festival Foundation. We produce a collection of events, one of the largest civic celebrations in the United States, for about 3 weeks. It draws about 1.9 million people, over 50 plus events. So Lynn wanted me to talk and share some perspective about special events specifically. Before I start, though, I just wanted to comment. It's been 7 years since I've been here in Boise, and wow, amazing! Congratulations, downtown Boise. You've done an amazing job here. What a vibrant downtown! Congratulations to all of you for making that such a great place. Like I said, I'm the CEO of a major festival, one of the largest in North America. But I'm also on the incoming board chair of the International Festival and Events Association, which is the leading resource for special events worldwide, of which this world headquarters is right here in Boise, Idaho. Many of you may not know that. The IFEA, Steve Schmader's in the audience, their CEO, does a great job in stewarding events worldwide. As part of my journeys in the IFEA, I've had a chance to speak to many audiences about the value and importance of special events, whether it be in a downtown core or in a rural setting. And this is one example in Korea. The good news and bad news about that presentation is that no one can listen, no one understood English, so I'm not sure how the translation went. But hopefully you can understand what we're saying today, and I can deliver a core message that Lynn wanted me to do, which was to talk about the importance of special events and what they bring to the vibrant downtown. In Portland, just to share a few examples, we're a collection of over 50 events, parades, mainly known for our parades, 3 distinctly different parades, a Starlight, a floral parade, which is very similar to the Tournament of Roses in Southern California, to a kids parade, which is the largest kids parade in the United States. We do a vibrant concert series in our waterfront park right on the downtown core of Portland. And one of the few places the United States Navy visits, and think about the geography, takes their warships and brings them all the way upriver on the Willamette River to dock along our seawall as part of Rose Festival Fleet Week. Again, a collection of over 50 plus events draw a diverse audience from all over the community and draws national and international people. And specifically downtown, the downtown core is the home of Rose Festival. You know, we think about 1.9 million people interact with Rose Festival. Most of those folks are coming downtown. So we have a very collaborative and partnership approach with both transportation and the civic leaders to ensure our events are safe and they work the right way. And you can see this. This is 4 miles of a parade route that snakes through downtown Portland. A lot of coordination and a lot of efforts, but at the end of the day, it's a celebration of Portland and the City of Roses, just on one particular day, but utilizes, and the whole downtown core comes alive for our parades. But one of the messages I wanted to deliver this afternoon is about just how special events really are. And then what I mean by that is they're not just special, they are essential. They're an essential part of a business strategy, they're an essential part of a development strategy, and they're an essential part of a community. Bringing people together is the greatest gift we can do. From all walks of life, from all parts of our community, to share and be proud of who we are as a people and who we are as a community. That's a message that sometimes gets lost, especially nowadays in our complicated world. That very message needs to be embraced and talked about more. I've had to go on a campaign just in Portland alone as difficult challenges emerge, that special events are not the problem. They're actually the solution for some of our challenges. Bringing people together to celebrate and have a place to do so, especially in a downtown core. I'm a big believer in looking back in history, and it can tell you a lot about something. And I'm not an urban planner, I'm a special event producer. But I'm from Spokane, Washington. This is Spokane in the late 60s. That's the train station, that large building. It's much like your train station up there on the hill. But what Spokane did, the vision they had, they thought about an event that would bring people to Spokane and change their downtown. So they made a bid for the World's Fair in 1974. And they ultimately got that bid and completely tore down an old rundown district. You can barely see it, but there's actually an inlet of the Spokane River by the train station there in the late 60s, and completely redeveloped it. And just 4 years later, this is what it turned out to be. Now, it was done in the context with a special event in mind. Again, the point being is special events could be part of a development strategy that can turn, and then ultimately, after that World's Fair is gone, this is a more modern picture, it's a vibrant park in the downtown core of Spokane, Riverfront Park. Used by special events, but also just used as a great place to go and enjoy Spokane. Portland's got a similar story. Where I'm currently reside and have been for 20 years. Portland's got a wonderful downtown core on a river, and with lots of bridges connecting. And this is some old photos you can see, but it had a freeway running right next to the freeway. That's the urban planners back in the day thought that would be the great place to put a freeway right in downtown along the river. And that worked for a while, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of missed opportunities. This is a picture of the Rose Festival back in the 1950s. And you can see how people are cramped against that seawall, and then you have a large freeway along the side of it. So at one point, I wasn't living there at the time, but they decided we got to figure this out and do better. And they thought about what could that waterfront turn out to be, develop it with a strategy of special events, as well as a place for residents to come down and enjoy Portland's waterfront. And this is what it turned out to be. The freeway is no longer there. It got moved to the other side. No small feat by any means. But Waterfront Park has got programming from April through October with all kinds of events. When it's not programmed, it's a place for folks that live downtown to come down and enjoy the vibrancy of Portland. This is a picture of Rose Festival activities in this very park. The difference being is create a place that has a strategy to change for the vibrancy of downtown with special events in mind. If anything, this has been too popular. And the connection, this picture is just downtown and Portland, and you see the trees. What the next generation of planners in Portland, Oregon, which I'm part of the strategy is what they have not done well yet is there's a gap between the park and some of the greatest things in downtown Portland, some 6 blocks away. So the next challenge is how do they bring and connect the park closer, bring that 6 blocks, erode that 6 blocks into new development, whether that be hotels, whether that be restaurants, to provide a better connection, because now it's just the park, some buildings, and then sort of the vibrant downtown core. But you can see how events play into that strategy in Portland, Oregon. Now here in Boise, you got some great events. You've talked about it. Congratulations, Live After 5, 31 years. The Twilight Criterium and First Thursday. You got definitely, from a special event perspective, you have the core of quality events. In fact, that's growing. I compliment Boise for that as a proactive person in special events. Anytime you can create a diverse collection of events that bring people to your downtown core, the benefits are rich. And this is something as I talk about how did events end up in a downtown core in the first place. And this slide represents county fairs. I mean, events evolved from out in the county in the rural areas to urban centers. Events in urban centers are a relatively new thing, but they started in the county fairs. But the Europeans had this figured out over 200 years ago. This is Nice, France. This is their downtown core. They have this beautiful plaza that's permanent there, but in 2 weeks during Carnival, it comes alive with this activity. But they had that thought of an urban event center some 200 years ago, something that our modern cities are working towards today. This is another example of a city being innovative in its special events lot. This is Sydney Harbor. And on a day, they turned that bridge into a picnic. Bring live animals out there, plant it in grass. Now that's certainly no easy feat, but the point is they take an existing landmark and turn an event to celebrate what's great about Sydney. Wouldn't be appropriate for me to talk about special events without thinking about the Indy 500 next week. But Indy 500 is its festival experience for 2.5 weeks. Downtown is alive with pre-event planning, parties, hotels are full. Again, bringing a quality signature event that's happening in Indianapolis. This is a picture of Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's Riverbend Festival. Another common story is, had a great waterfront. Its developers created a strategy that would create a place where they can have a major festival for a couple weeks out of the year, but also program it with other things, different concerts and venues. This is Riverbend at its peak, and again, relatively new development. And Riverbend's been around for 25 years, so relatively new as well. From a historical perspective, Rose Festival's been around for 110, so I'm kind of the old one in the context of festivals and events. Riverbend's 25 years. And then Fiesta in San Antonio, Texas. A major, major special event that just concluded in the community of San Antonio. And then there's this final example of events. This is probably the pinnacle of permanent infrastructure in Rio. That grandstand is actually a permanent grandstand that's been built specifically for that one Carnival parade. Now, the cost on that and ratio on that, don't know the details of that, but the bottom line is they bought into a strategy that says we're going to have a world-class event and we're going to build the infrastructure around that. Now, that's to the extreme, but the point is that special events, whether it be here in Boise, Idaho, Portland, Oregon, or across the globe, special events are part of a strategy to increase vibrancy in your community. This takes us all the way home back to Portland, Oregon here for Rose Festival and our waterfront concert series. Another picture of downtown Portland back in the 1960s with its parade feel that's replicated today in a modern way. Again, a downtown core event with great events. So, and being brief as possible, I could talk forever, and I won't do that to Lynn, but I want to just conclude by saying, so why do these event strategies matter most? And some of it's already been talked about this afternoon, but just pure economic impact. If I give you 3 examples of festivals, celebrations, which are a collection of events, I give you Portland, Memphis, Tennessee, and San Antonio, Texas. Just in 1 year's measurement, based on independent analysis, Portland's Rose Festival has a $60 million economic impact. Memphis in May, which is just about wrapping up, an $88 million impact. And San Antonio, the slide I just gave you, $100 million. That's in hotels, that's in restaurants, that's in general activity and commerce associated with that special event, measured independently by a third party. That's a big deal. But there's all the other obvious impacts, jobs, hotel room nights, tax revenue that feed into that. But 2 that don't get talked about very much, public safety and livability, that also play a role in special events in the community. I can tell you with great confidence in talking to our police chief in Portland, Oregon, that the downtown core, specifically in the area of Waterfront Park during Portland, Oregon, the least amount of calls they get, the safest time of year it is actually when that park is programmed during events, and most importantly, the Rose Festival. So from a perspective, events bring programming to a downtown core that provide activity and actually increase the safety elements from a general standpoint. Now, the events have a responsibility to make their events safe, but I'm talking about just overall crime activity for a particular part. In Portland, during Rose Festival, especially in the downtown core where our events are, it's the safest it is in terms of number of calls and issues and incidents. The least amount is during the Rose Festival. And the last is livability. I mean, that cannot be measured in any way other than people talking about your city. I was there in Boise during this event or that event. It's a marketing piece. It's all, and livability for people that choose to live in a downtown core. It makes that so much better. So I want to close with just that last tangible notion about livability and what's the intangible thing about special events. And it's personal to everyone, but I'll tell you a very quick story about in my event and a situation that happened with me personally 6 years ago. So I'm at my festival grounds. I eat on my festival grounds. I'm sitting there eating my yakisoba noodles or whatever it was. Not quite, I'm sure that one. But here's what I remember very vividly. Come and sit next to me was a family of 4, mom, dad, 2 kids. And what caught my attention as the CEO of the Rose Festival was they had this big backpack, which kind of like, okay, did we check that? But I immediately think, what's in that backpack? I'm also seeing they bring out a cooler of food. And like, well, that's not so good. I want them to buy my food to support the event. But as I watched this, it really hit that I was missing something significant, which was they got that cooler out. And out of that cooler was 1 soda, a thing of grapes, and a sandwich that was divided up into 4 pieces. And mom and dad are dividing up the grapes and giving those pieces of sandwich to the 2 kids. And it was like, and it was clearly this was an event, planned event, and this family didn't have a lot of means. This was their Disneyland, Portland's Rose Festival. And I remember this as they were just next to me, and mom said, this is it. And meanwhile, these kids are looking at, cotton candy, corn dogs, everything. This is our lunch today. And one of the young kids said, Mom, it's okay. Thank you for taking me to the Rose Festival. And that little connection connects, and that's why we do what we do. But it's the business community that actually provides that. You allow that to happen through sponsorship support, through your support of downtown businesses, through Downtown Business Association. You allow special events to happen, and as well as our elected officials. So the point being is, special events should be part of your downtown strategy, and it already is in Boise. You're doing a great job, and I'm just thrilled to come and share the story here, and I want to wish you good luck, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Downtown Boise is a great location for our business. That's one of the key things that we use to attract people to our company. I mean, we believe we've built a great company and a great culture and a great environment, and we've done that with people that really love being downtown. My name is Alicia Hubing, and I am the VP of Program Management at Cradlepoint. Cradlepoint is the leader in software-defined, cloud-managed 4G LTE networking. So we take your cellular connection and basically create a business-grade network for your companies. Boise Police, a lot of police and taxis and buses and New York Metro all have Cradlepoint devices in them as well. When I started with the company, we had 115 employees 4 years ago, and now we're over 400, I think close to the 450 mark. To get the top talent, especially on the diversity side, whether it's women or just diverse candidates, we typically see that they're also very attracted to the downtown area. So it's a differentiator for us to bring them in, to show them what a great place we have both in the downtown area and show them the office and get them excited about what we're doing. We also are close to the Boise State Computer Science Department, so being on the research and development side, that's really key for us. I've been working with a couple of other women, and we're forming a women in tech kind of organization, and that's very much centered downtown because that's really where the epicenter of where all this is happening.
My name is Jennifer Belt, and I'm a project manager for Cradlepoint. I've been here for almost 4 years, and I manage a team of 13 developers. The main thing that brought me here was the opportunity to work for a small company, and saw a really good opportunity with Cradlepoint. That's one thing that I love about Cradlepoint is they have been committed to Boise as well as being downtown. Now I'm within 2 miles of my house, so I can walk to work or bike to work, which is fantastic. I take advantage of the coffee all the time. It also makes me feel like I'm more in touch with what's actually happening in the city. I have opportunities to do things on my lunch break, or my daycare, basically where my children go after school, is right here, so everything is very close by. But I don't think I really understood the power of it until I started working downtown. Now I know I would never want to work anywhere else than downtown.
My name is Matt Messenger. I'm a cloud architect here at Cradlepoint. I love to be able to ride my bike into work, or if I want to, I can take the foothills and do a run into work and do my thing here and then ride or run home. Or if I'm running late for a meeting, I can basically jump on my bike or put a backpack on and run through the trails and have to time it right so I can get my shower in before my first meeting. My coworkers appreciate that. All the meetups that I generally go to are downtown, so there's a lot of other tech companies that host meetups. It's kind of where things are happening for the most part, and so being able to finish work and then just walk downstairs and walk over to one of the other events is definitely a lot more convenient than if I had to get in the car and drive somewhere. Live after 5, first Thursday, there's always something happening.
We're operating within this environment that's very desirable to be in. Work is about so much more than just the actual work you do. It's the environment that you create and that you work in. That's a huge benefit for us.
They're getting my slides. There we go. So a UK-based higher education consulting firm recently indicated or identified Boise State University as a rising star. And what they meant by that is they selected 20 universities worldwide that could challenge the current academic establishment on a global scale. Now, while I'm not here to speak for the university, you can speak with the university administration, President Custra, and they could talk to the accomplishments of the university as well as the accomplishments or the strategic plan that will help enable that. I'm here as a representative of the computer science department, right in that building right over there. Now, my name is Jerry Fales. I'm a faculty member in the computer science department. And last semester, we were visited for accreditation purposes. And the lead evaluator of the team came in. Now, keep in mind, this evaluator has done several evaluations nationwide. And this is what he said of the department, right? It was the most forward-leaning and strongest department I've ever seen. Now, I'm not here to just pat our department on the back, okay? Although I think it is important to acknowledge the accomplishments that have been made and the people who have made those possible. But I do want to focus on the forward-leaning aspect, because I think that that is the sense that I get for being here in the downtown area. In the computer science department, things are growing, right? Enrollment is growing at the undergraduate, at the graduate level. We have a newly created interdisciplinary PhD in computing, which is also growing, which is not shown on this graph. I can show you graphs all day long, such as this one that shows the number of graduates that is increasing. The gist of my point is, though, that all of the graphs that I would show you, whether it be these that I've already shown or the collaborations with industry or research grants or research expenditures, all of them would have a dramatic positive slope. Here's another perspective, right? So the department has grown a little bit in the last 5 years in terms of the human capital. And one of the things that I was asked to do today was to tell a little bit of my story and why I came to Boise, where I came from and why I came to Boise. So that story begins a few years ago when there was a pile of dirt over there shortly after a parking lot was there. And for those of you who were here last year, you may recall that the then chair of our department, Tim Anderson, shared an experience that he had while he stood in that parking lot. What he told me, or he described to me, was his revelatory Julie Andrews Sound of Music experience, where he caught the vision, so to speak, of how the computer science department could have a wonderful symbiotic relationship with the industries around, as well as the community as a whole. And while I lived a little bit further away, somehow his wonderful singing traveled the 2,500 miles to the metropolitan area where I was living just 2 years ago, which also has a pretty nice downtown area. I was a tenured associate professor at a state university of similar size to Boise State. I had a strong research agenda. I had a lab that was already set up. I had students. My research is in designing and developing technologies with and for children. And things were going well. Financially, things were good. But something called me. And I don't know how good Tim's singing really is. But I can say that as I looked into the possibility of coming to Boise, the thing that excited me was the investment, the growth, and the continued potential that was here. And I'm not the only one, right? You saw that several faculty members have been drawn just recently to come here. And we've already heard about many people who have been drawn to this wonderful area. Within our department, we have a lot of really amazing research that's happening in terms of computer science education, which has grown almost like a wildfire throughout this region. Software engineering and programming languages, cybersecurity, data science, and human-computer interaction. All of these are, at least to me, very exciting areas of research. And if any of these pique your interest, you should reach out and talk to the computer science department. As a shameless plug, I still do research with kids. And opening up in the fall, just one floor down will be a lab where kids will be designing with adults new technologies. One of the great things about this area, or having moved the computer science department to the downtown, is that we're surrounded by several technology partners and industry partners. The meetups that were mentioned previously often happen in our space. We have industry that come and have their meetings so that they can interact with not only our amazing students, but our faculty as well. And in conclusion, to me, right, so what started out as a little parking lot, right, now stands a pretty amazing building. And as I enter that building right there early every morning, I feel the vibrancy and the forward-leaning nature of this area. And to me, that's exhilarating and energizing. The vision, the collaboration, the planning, the entrepreneurial spirit, the culture, all of these things that made it possible for that building to be built are not only impressive, but those are the exact same principles that Firetail acknowledged were necessary in order for Boise State University to achieve that rising star status. And I imagine, as I've interacted with a few of you here, that you have felt this in some way, that you have felt that forward-leaning nature and the vibrancy of this community. And I am grateful to be a part of it now, even though I've only been here a little while. And I look forward to the future here in Boise. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. All right, there we go. I know the only thing between the speakers and the bar is me right now, so I'm absolutely honored to be here this afternoon, this evening, and talk to you about some Canadian research that is recently undertaken in our country on downtowns, the value of downtowns. Mayor Beater, Lynn, Dean, and the other board members from the association, thank you very much for this opportunity to come and talk to you. But first of all, I want to ask you to thank yourselves. Thank yourselves for taking time out of your busy schedule, whether it's working late tonight or your family and friends that are at home waiting for you, but taking time to be part of this conversation, to be informed, to be engaged, to learn about something that's very critical to your economy, your downtown. So give yourselves a round of applause. I have to tell you, I've never been to Boise. I've heard about it, kind of. First time. Did a little bit of research on the internet. Was quite impressed from what I saw from the web pages, from the photos, but I really didn't know what to expect. One of the first things that I do when I travel to other cities is I talk to taxi drivers. And I ask them a simple question. How's your downtown and what do you think? And so the taxi driver that I talked to, I chatted him up a little bit. He was from Ethiopia. He's a refugee. He's here for about 2 years. And Lynn, do you want me to tell everyone what he said? He looked back and he said, we've got a nice downtown. And I'm telling you, taxi cab drivers don't lie. He said, we have a great downtown. You're going to enjoy it. And I said, well, do you go downtown? And he said, you know, I do go downtown. I don't go to the restaurants because, you know, I'm poor, but I go downtown to take my family and my friends for the events. I enjoy the events. I enjoy walking the sidewalks and watching people. And you know, you don't know your downtown has arrived until your downtown is capable of bringing people of all incomes, of all races, and for different reasons. And so my first impression was a very, very positive one. What you guys are doing here is right. So I think it's appropriate for me to acknowledge the leadership that is making your downtown right. I've been a CEO of the downtown biz for about 12 years, and I've traveled to many cities and participated in many events. I can tell you, I don't think I've ever seen a crowd this large in a city the size of, well, half my city. So it's important to acknowledge the leadership here. Lynn and her team, your planners, your engineers, your public works, the people that are laying those bricks today as I was walking around, your leadership at all political levels. What happens does not happen overnight. It takes years and years, decades, to recover from the decline that our downtowns have seen across North America. So Lynn asked me this morning, and I arrived yesterday afternoon. This is definitely not on my script. I'm going to go beyond 15 minutes here. She said, Stefano, honestly, what do you think of our downtown? And I looked at her and I said, I'm very envious. I'm jealous, actually. You have an incredible downtown. And I started going into the reasons, and all the speakers before me have, you know, talked about those reasons. But there's something that's really special about your downtown. And for me, it starts with walkability. As soon as I arrived into the hotel, I put on some shorts. I think people thought I was crazy yesterday, but it was raining, but I'm a tough Winnipegger. And I walked, and I walked, and I walked, and I walked, and it was fun. There was restaurants, there was shops, there was art on the sidewalks. It was clean, it was safe, There's bicyclists, there's banners, there's flowers. Even your business owners are getting engaged in doing things in the realm of placemaking. You have an incredible downtown. And when I see young entrepreneurs starting up businesses, your future believes in your downtown. And so you should be very, very proud of yourselves. So, I think I can probably get into the official part of my presentation here. I don't know if this mic is on. Yeah, good. So I'm going to share with you in 15 minutes or less some national research that's coming out of Canada through the International Downtown Association, which I am a board member of. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why and how we should be measuring our vibrancy in our downtown, and what we learned in Canada in terms of, from coast to coast, what makes a downtown vibrant. So who's this Canadian guy talking about downtowns, and what do we have in common? Well, we have lots in common. In fact, do you know we share a border? 55 kilometers to the north. British Columbia, our province, and Idaho to the south. And we've got this, no, it's not a wall. It's actually, I think it's just, you know, a line with a whole bunch of trees that have been taken down. And I guarantee you the only people that are crossing there are trappers and hunters and maybe a few bears and some deer. But we also trade something important. We also share something important, trade. Did you know that Idaho exports $4.3 billion annually to Canada? Canada is the second largest trading partner of Idaho. China is first. I think it's all that milk. We love our milk up north. 33,000 jobs in Idaho depend on the Canadian-US trade that occurs. And about 1.9 billion in trade occurs between our two places. We also share great leaders, in our countries who are celebrities. Of course, on the top we have Justin Trudeau. His dad, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, was very well loved by our citizens of our country, and of course, your celebrity apprentice, Mr. Trump. But we also share in something that's important to me personally, I believe, that great cities and downtowns matter for our children and their children. You see, my greatest fear is my kids leaving my city and not coming back. That's Giuseppe, Massimo, and Alessandro, three very strong Italian names. My parents immigrated from Italy some 50 years ago. And so I've decided to dedicate my career towards building great communities to make sure that when my kids leave, and they will leave, they'll come back. But kids from other cities will explore Winnipeg because of the great vibrancy, the great communities that we're trying to build. So what's the rationale behind this research that we've done in Canada? It's the first study of its kind in Canada. 30 participating cities. The rationale is all about raising awareness, creating an open dialogue about the importance of downtowns, bringing stakeholders from coast to coast together, helping position downtown competitively, both locally and nationally. Informing decision-making on the statistics and information that we gathered. Most importantly, allowing us to build advocacy positions, both locally and abroad. The research also documents efforts and patterns and stories of downtown revitalization, best practices. We don't have to reinvent things. We can just borrow from each other. Most importantly, we're looking at return on investment. In Canada, our federal and provincial and city levels of government are significantly investing in our cities. And so it's important that we show what is that return on investment. So we also developed a toolkit allowing cities in Canada to do it themselves. Business improvement associations, Chamber of Commerce. And what we're doing right now in Canada is being duplicated in the United States with the International Downtown Association. So in Winnipeg in 2017, the International Downtown Association conference will be held. We will be releasing a national state of the downtown report, a report card. How healthy are our downtowns? What is the return on investment? And the toolkit really organizes 3 types of indicators: core, pulse, and trends. I'm not going to get into these. If you want more information, you go to the IDA website. But very quickly, these are the 10 critical pieces of statistics that we're collecting from coast to coast: population and density, jobs and density, number and locations of new buildings, capital investments made by the city, property taxes generated, modal split. Do you know if people walk to your downtown, take a bus to your downtown, take a car, or take transit? Number of grocery stores that exist in your downtown, dollars spent on parks and public realm, your housing tenure mix. Great downtowns are all about having housing options for everyone, and your cultural and your events that occur in the downtown. So what did we find? So we found that we are enjoying a period of renaissance. Downtowns are enjoying a period of renaissance in Canada, very similar to what's happening in the United States. We also found in Canada that what's good for our downtowns is great for our cities, but even better for our provinces, or in your political world, your states. And here's why. If there's one thing that I want you to take away from this presentation, it's this. These are some of the cities that we did research in. Winnipeg's in the bottom right. As you all know, downtowns are pretty small. In Winnipeg, 1% of the total size of our city is our downtown. Really small. And then you've already done this research and you already have this number. But here's what makes the difference. In cities like Toronto, which 2% of its downtown is the size, Toronto generates 25% of the city's revenue from the downtown. In cities like Winnipeg and Saskatoon and Edmonton, 10, 11, 12%. So if there was ever a goose that laid a golden egg, it's your downtown. Do you want to feed the goose or do you want to kill it? Joe Minicozzi, how many of you heard of Joe Minicozzi for Urban 3? This guy goes around from place to place doing this analysis. And he really demonstrates to politicians, to decision makers, why we need to build dense places like downtowns. They just generate more revenue per acre. And if you're in business, don't you want to generate more product per customer coming through the door in terms of your sales? Joe also has gone from coast to coast, and very clearly, the research says that dense urban developments are cheaper to operate as well from a municipal perspective. So the return on investment on the infrastructure that goes into that development is significantly more than a typical low-density development out further away from your downtown core. So if you're in the business of making decisions, this information is very, very critical. What we found also was that downtowns are maintaining very strong and commercial office space positions throughout Canada. What we found was that downtowns have a strong concentration of jobs. And this is really, really critical. The knowledge economy is what driving jobs. People who work together, innovate, they create. They allow the facilitation of knowledge, the sharing of resources, and the momentum continues. What we found also is that downtown investment must be ongoing. And that's what I sense what's happening here in Boise. If someone is building a hotel, it's because they know the convention center is expanding. It's because they know that there's events that attract tourists from other states. And so knowing what those investment strategies are 5, 10 years into the future are really, really critical. And this is really, really important as well. You know, I've never met your mayor, but I listened to his speech from last year. And I can tell you, there's not many people like my mayor, Mayor Bowman, and Mayor Beater. You see, my mayor makes decisions for the future, 10, 20, 30 years out, not for 4 years out. And I get a sense that your mayor is the same way. I really enjoyed your presentation last year. You're an urban planner. I don't know if you knew that or not, but you're kind of an urbanist. And so having leadership is so critical. Please don't take this man for granted. Your future depends on it. So what makes downtown vibrant? So in Canada, we, again, scoped this question from coast to coast. It's sustainability, it's connectivity, it's architecture and design, it's innovation and venture capital, diversity and culture. I won't get into all of them, just a few of them. But we found that vibrant downtowns have great public realm. The amount of patios that you have is so cool. I just can't wait this evening to go out and do a walkabout to see how many people are hanging around, enjoying your downtown. People watching, sharing stories with each other. Your back alleys as well. Like any city, office workers, tourists, well, they love taking shortcuts and got great back alleys, great creativity that occurs, and we see that in Boise as well. Public realm is very, very critical. And so whether it's the benches, the trees, the ornamental sidewalks, the storefronts, every 5 or 10 feet compels you to keep going in a certain direction. We found out vibrant downtowns have great culture. And we heard the previous speaker talk about the importance of events. July 1st is Canada's celebration, our birthday. And this event is tremendous. It brings people of all ages and incomes and races to our downtown to celebrate one of the most important things, a country's birthday. We found that vibrant downtowns are creative. In our city, we decided to have some fun with our winter, 4 or 5 months of the year, and utilize our rivers that are frozen as places to skate, places that have design competitions, places that have restaurants where people will come out and enjoy a cold minus 25 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit, Celsius evening. We found that downtowns are creative and unique places for people to hang out and inspire are critical. Have you ever heard of Parking Day? International Parking Day? Well, this is something that has taken off from coast to coast in Canada as well. And the creativity that comes from our communities is incredible. Downtowns need to be fun and happy, where people can just slow down, smile, and just take in the ambiance of what that downtown has to offer. And it's not necessarily a shop or a restaurant. It could be artists demonstrating what they have in your community. We also found that downtowns have great design and architecture. And you guys have some great bones in your downtown, some great history, some great design, new construction as well. And it's not just the design, it's also the type of use. You see, what we also found from coast to coast was density is important, but it's the uses as well. Ensuring that you have housing and offices and retail and parking all in one building, which generates that almost 24-hour activity throughout the day, throughout the evening. It brings people downtown during the day, and while people like me go back to the suburbs and take my kids to hockey, families are there having dinner and going out to their cafes in the evening. Great design and architecture, civic infrastructure. Very, very critical. This is one of the most controversial bridges ever built in our city because it was beautiful, because it was designed well. This has become a tourist attraction. Thousands upon thousands of photos on the internet you'll find our Esplanade Bridge. Also what we found, and this is our MTS Center in our downtown, was that sports entertainment today is to what downtowns were in the 40s and 50s in terms of retail. What we found was that sports entertainment is bringing people back to the downtown. In Winnipeg, 1.5 million people a year come back to our downtown because of the NHL Jets. But what we also found throughout cities from coast to coast was where these entertainment complexes are located, if your planners and your developers work together through public-private partnerships, you can generate billions of dollars of investment in creating new districts as we are in our city. We also found that downtowns are experiencing congestion and pollution and long commute times. particularly in our larger cities. And then we also found that by integrating transportation and complete communities is very, very critical. Letting people live where they want to work and creating these short commute times through things like LRTs and streetcars. We also found that we have to give our citizens options to get downtown, which are sustainable, which address some of that congestion. We also know that alternative modes to travel around the downtown are important too, like bikes. I love the number of bikes that you have on your sidewalks. What we also found was that downtowns are experiencing positive population growth from coast to coast. People are returning back to our downtowns. And we did find, as the previous speaker before me said, it's the millennials and the empty nesters that are living in our downtown. They want places that are walkable, places that are authentic. We also found that post-secondary institutions are transformational city builders. Our universities and their kids that go to these universities, they spend tons of money. But what we're finding from coast to coast is when the institutions decide to be part of our downtown and build in a manner that is conducive for mixed-use buildings and conducive for kids to live in those buildings and to shop in those buildings and others throughout the downtown, it creates a better place. It creates more vibrancy. So all these things combined really have led to an explosion of shops, an explosion of services, and we see that here in Boise as well, from coast to coast, the authentic shopping experiences. As a result, downtown are experiencing an increase in local restaurants, the foodie experiences from coast to coast in Canada. The data also says that great downtowns result in vibrant, creative, innovative places where people want to live, work, and hang out. So, my closing 3 slides here, seek that data. Be part of a broader coalition of downtown practitioners advocating at the federal level. Utilize best practices from that research that you're able to engage with your other business improvement associations. Advocate, create conversations, and keep going. Thank you very much.